The X-Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you live from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada on the Talkstar Radio Network. If you'd like to give us a call, our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. Email xzone@talkstarradio.com. On MSN Messenger, talkstarradio@hotmail.com. And our websites, www.xzoneradio.com and xzonetv.com. My guest this hour is no stranger to the X-Zone. Her name is Tara Green, and she is in Toronto, Ontario. Tara does everything from tarot card readings, of course, dream analysis, and is truly a lady who dabbles in all aspects of New Age paranormal stuff. And joining me now from her home in Toronto is Tara Green. Hey, Tara, how are you, my dear friend?
I'm doing great, Rob. Glad to be back.
Glad having you back, Tara. One of the producers here would like to know, as a lady who is into the New Age genre, what your opinion is of the new movie coming out called 2012.
Well, actually, I've only seen previews of it, and, it looks like a big Hollywood, cash in on the fear, kind of a big blow-up kind of movie. But, I can see that even in the trailers it has some kind of a, uplifting kind of spiritual, I really can't say until I've seen it. But, the media is just latched on to, I forget how many hundreds of thousands of websites, I was just looking at this the other day, are on referring to 2012, referring to that Mayan end date, So, at this point I think it's become obviously very commercial. And the interesting thing for me is how something that started out, from Jose Arguelles, from the first harmonic convergence in August 16th and 17th, 1987, has become totally, middle of the road, totally like Hollywood, So I would say go see it, but don't buy into the fear,
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is another Hollywood make. Plus, the person who did Independence Day is the same director-producer for this movie.
And it looks like Independence Day,
Yeah, it does. I saw a few of the trailers, and I wouldn't waste my money going to see it. Oh, did I say that out loud?
If you like that kind of big blow-up, they blowed them up really good kind of thing, it could be fun, I just wouldn't take it too seriously,
That is true. That is true. Tell me, what do you think is going to happen on December the 21st, 2012?
Well, there are, of course, from experts who study this kind of thing, two different views. One of which is John Major Jenkins, and he talks about December 21st, 2012. And then there's another man called Kaleman, and he says it's actually October 2011, I believe. I don't have the exact date. And my cousin, who actually works with these astronomers in Palenque, and it is only the end date of one major cycle. Now, people are tying this in, but they don't really have Puritans. There are Mayan elders who are now coming forward and saying, we believe there's a big shift in the consciousness, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the world's going to end. It's like, it's already created an energy, and as, we do create our own reality. People are looking for some way to, what's the word? Kind of escape.
Yes.
From the reality. And I think that, people are going to get what they expect to some degree. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do. People are looking, some people are looking for that big rock in the sky to come slamming down on Earth. But these are the same people who probably were getting ready for the end of the world at 2012. Not 2012, Y2K.
In the year 2000, yeah.
Tara, you and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. www.taratarot.com. Tara Green is my special guest, and Tara and I will be back in 2 minutes as the X Zone continues right here live and around the world on the Talk Star Radio Network from our studios in beautiful Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
2, 1.
You live your life in the songs you hear on the rock and roll radio. And when a young girl doesn't have any friends, that's a really nice place to go. Folks hoping you'd turn out cool, but they had to take you out of school. You're a little touched
Tara Green is our special guest. Her website is www.taratarot.com. Tara, you also do dream analysis, and have you been finding that people have been coming to you with more complicated dreams than before?
Some people are, but I'm really finding, that people are very stressed out about their own realities these days, and especially financial, So even though people are still concerned about their relationships, I think a lot of it is very much, very practical. But, some people are telling me their dreams are much more complicated, or they're more aware of them. Because I do believe that people's psychic awareness is expanding in general, and that's what I really do feel is happening as we get towards 2012, actually.
What do you think is causing this psychic awareness?
Some people are saying we're entering the age of Aquarius, and there was that big lineup of planets at the beginning of this year, although, again, there are different theories about when that actually starts. So really what that's about is everybody beginning to sense that we are all in this together, and that is what the Mayan elders are saying, that we're going to shift out of a duality consciousness into a unity consciousness on December 21st, 2012. So I would begin, I don't think it's going to be like, if it happens that way, I don't think it's like instant flip a switch. I think it's a slow, gradual process, and really we're now only just over 3 years away.
It's funny because a lot of the people that we've had on the show over the years who talked about the Mayan calendar being all this negativity have been slowly drifting away. It's like more and more people are coming to their senses, and the hoopla and the negativity that is being portrayed by this movie that's coming out, as well as the doom and gloom modern prophets who are tying the end of the Mayan calendar with the Book of Revelations. Something is happening with them. I don't know if it's a spiritual awakening where they're finally getting the message, or they're just not talking about it anymore.
Well, I try to kind of keep track of all the different threads of this, and there is someone who I'm quite interested in. He talks about a kind of revelations, like there is a judgment day coming, and that the crap is going to hit the fan, and people's shadows are going to come out, like their real selves, their hidden selves are going to come out, and it's going to get pretty rocky. And so that's kind of interesting because he talks about another dimension that's actually lacing into ours. It has nothing to do with the Mayan calendar, but that's his take on it. So it's just kind of interesting that people are there's the same kind of story from whatever background you come from, not necessarily Christian or Mayan or anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. But, the part I can't understand is when you talk to the Mayans themselves about the end of the Mayan calendar, they just kind of chuckle and say, well, yes, it's the end of one cycle, but when one cycle ends, another always starts.
Another one begins, absolutely.
I'm just wondering if there's somebody from the Western world got a hold of this and said, hey, this is another neat way to make money.
Absolutely. It's very commercial, It's very commercial. So, like Carl Jung, the psychologist,
yes.
In a way, if we're talking about dreams, again, this whole thing about what people are projecting, about what's happening in 2012 is really people's own stuff. Do you know what I mean?
No.
They're making of it whatever they want.
Oh, all right. That makes sense. And I remember going back to the year 2000, Y2K, I was at 610 CKTB, and we did a remote live from the brink of the Horseshoe Falls that night. And as the ball was coming down the Skylon Tower, everybody's counting 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and I just shut everything off. And I came back 5 seconds later and I said, we're here. All the lights are on. The world is still the way it was. Happy New Year 2000.
Right.
But I remembering those days, I'll always remember this elderly lady, about 80 years old. She had a twin. And she called up the show crying, Tara, because she couldn't afford the freeze-dried food that another talk show host was talking about. They couldn't, they couldn't get rid of all their cash and buy gold. they had just spent whatever money they had on a generator, and my heart went out to these people.
Mm-hmm.
And to see people actually taking advantage of people this way, man.
Yeah, it's pretty crass.
It's so
it's
wrong.
Pretty crass. Yeah.
And I'm sure, Tara, that as we get closer to 2012, these same people are going to come out of the cracks in the earth
Mm-hmm.
and once again try and make as much on people as they can.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you heard about this thing. Some guy from The Secret had this big, unfortunate sweat lodge in Sedona, Arizona, and a bunch of people were killed because it was totally, usurping native things. They put plastic, or a bunch of people got killed and got injured. And then the guy was still running free. I'm going, that guy should be in jail for second-degree murder.
Yeah.
So, I think, yes, there's going to be more hysteria for sure, but I think that, astrologically things are going to be quite tough, and a lot of astrologers are predicting, if you think things have changed now and they attribute the corporate falls from just Pluto entering Capricorn, we got another 14 years to go.
All right,
plus
so
there's more.
Astrologically, what do you see in the astrological charts, Tara, for December 21st, 2012?
Well, it's not so much that chart looks so amazing. The Mayans were actually tracking the planet Venus, and Venus is tied into their mythology as the savior, kind of a messiah called Quetzalcoatl, who is an actual person who's become kind of deified. And Venus does cross in front of the sun in June of 2012. So it's not that different than actually the lineup of the planets is more critical starting next year and into 2015. So there is a sense, yes, the sun is crossing the galactic center, but it's been doing that since 1998.
When you have sat down and done a tarot card reading and asked the cards to tell you what they foretell in 2012, what has that reading profited, or what has it shown?
Well, I think it's a very complex situation, and I think that because consciousness is expanding and things are going very fast, that things can keep changing all the time. That's really my feeling, bottom line, about what's going on right now, is that channels have opened up like never before. I do think we are already in a new reality. That is my feeling about it. And that, yes, people have more consciousness and more free will, and it's only going to speed up more and more. So I don't think I can give one definitive answer, because I think it's constantly in change and in flux because of what everybody's thinking. So it's very important that you get clear.
At this time, is 2012 set in stone, or is it still very fluid based on what the people are going to be making of it?
Well, that's what I think. I think it's very much about learning that you do create your reality, and that your own state of peace and balance and awareness is what will affect it. I think that's the most important thing to realize.
So how could the listeners best prepare for the unknown or the uncertainty that they feel?
Well, I think, in fact, things have always been uncertain. We've been under the illusion that it isn't. And I think you have to stay open, and you have to really learn to listen, to trust your own feelings, your own intuition. It's very subtle. You have to learn to listen to what you feel, not your head. So, the Native Americans or the Peruvian shamans would say your heart is not in your where you think from is not in your brain, but in your heart. So you have to learn to pull your consciousness from your head into your heart chakra, and to learn to follow that. And that takes some practice. We're really
Go on.
We're really taught to work from our logic, linear. Everything is scientific. If it can't be proven, it doesn't exist. Well, that's not true anymore. And it never was true. It's just a point of view.
1-877-528-8255, toll free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. To reach us here at the X Zone in our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, toll free 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@talkstarradio.com. On MSN Messenger, talkstarradio@hotmail.com. And our websites, www.xzoneradio.com and xzonetv.com. Tara, are you finding that when you're going out to do readings for people throughout the greater Toronto area, that the questions that you're being asked are different? For example, when we were talking about dreams, you said people are more interested in finance as well as other aspects of their day-to-day reality. Are these the same type of questions you're getting for those who sit for a tarot card reading with you?
No, I'm finding that people are aware that they can't keep doing that same old job, that they have to do something that has meaning for them. I think that people are getting disaffected with the fast pace and the disorientation, and that you have no time to really reflect on anything anymore. And I'm finding more and more people going, I don't want to do this. Money isn't what really matters anymore, you know. And for people who've already unfortunately lost their jobs, I think that that's actually, unfortunately it's difficult, but they're at the beginning of that wake-up call, because you're going to have to just learn how to do things differently and simplify. I think in general, you know, North American culture has been living, you know, in this big bubble, and they're getting the reality check. You know?
I'm going to ask you a question. We're coming up to a commercial break with the news at the bottom of the hour. I'd like you to give it some thought. Are things as dark as people believe they are? Tara Green is my special guest, and Tara and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news. For more information on Tara, she has a wonderful website at www.taratarot.com, TARATAROT.com. We'll be back on the other side of this break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone, live and around the world on the Talk Star Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Are you all right? Tell the radio good night. All alone once more, and you, baby.
Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone radio show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7. 365.
Flu season is here again, and this year so is the H1N1 flu virus. By taking some simple steps, you can help protect yourself and others. Wash your hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds. Cough and sneeze into your arm, not your hand. Keep common surfaces and items like doorknobs and keyboards disinfected. To find out more, go to fightflu.ca or call 1-800-O-CANADA. Knowledge is your best defense. A message from the Public Health Agency of Canada.
Tara Green is my special guest, www.taratarot.com. And Tara, earlier I was asking you what the tarot cards said about the year December 21st, 2012, and you did a reading for us. And what did you come up with?
Well, it's very interesting because what we've got here is there's three major cards appearing in this reading, and the number 3 in itself has to do with birth, has to do with the goddess, and we are definitely entering the era of the goddess. I believe that that's very important, and her influence is in some ways coming through archetypally on December 21st, 2012, because of course there's all those 12, 21, the 12 there adds up to 3. So there is a kind of numerological key, and the universe always sends us these clues, like in a dream, there's kind of dream puns, and there's symbols that we need to work with. So what it says here is that there's going to be a new beginning. It's actually very positive. Your last question was, are things really as negative? And I think that in some ways it's about the balance. Yes, things are very negative, and things are also very positive. And the card at the center of this reading is the card of justice, or judgment, which in the tarot decks are usually number 8, because the number 8 is the symbol of infinity. So in a sense, I think it's about choice, and it's about balance, and it's about peace, and it's about really going beyond duality. We have the card of the High Priestess here coming in. She is both sides of the brain, the divine feminine, the intuition, the soul, the psyche, the dream world. There we go. We talk about the dream world. And the cards are showing very positive, lots of emotional flow, but the sense of, and some people are going to be worried, of course, that's there too, but the sense of, by looking at our emotional state, we begin to clear it. And also there's this sense of kind of a spiritual victory as part of 2012, a sense of that we're more than the sum of our parts, and we're actually way more than we have thought we are, in the sense of moving from the heart, from the soul, about love and about major change. So I feel that it's a very positive reading here. I did ask very specifically, about 2012. So I think it really is that we are in a kind of karmic balance at that point. So in a sense, what I was saying, people are going to get the reality that they want. And I remember years ago, I worked with different spiritual teachers, and they talked about the world dividing in two, that the people who are negative and into fear and into power, they were going to end up with a world like that. And the people who are really open and in their hearts and higher consciousness, they'll go into like a heaven world, and there will actually be a kind of split, that two realities would be created.
Well, doesn't that kind of make sense, though? If
and it could be a metaphor, I think we're going to have to, check out our feelings as we go along, But I think people have been living in this kind of blind, emotional state. And, on the one hand, if the world is going to end, I would think your question would be, what kind of state do I want to be in emotionally, spiritually, if I'm going to die? And I think that's actually, there's a meaning in there for that too. And I think that's a very good thing to look at, because I think it really helps you to go deep and look at, what you're responsible for, what your karma is, The card of justice is related to the ancient Egyptian goddess Mot, who weighed people's souls against an ostrich feather. And your soul, if you wanted to go to heaven, your soul was supposed to be as light as a feather, which I always thought was a very beautiful idea.
Tell me, Tara, how can a tarot card reader help people on a daily basis, or on a weekly basis, or on a monthly basis?
What?
I said, how can a tarot card reader help someone in their daily life?
Okay. Well, people call me, they email me, they want a reflection. I think we all have our own blind spots, And so I advise people for whatever they're going through, whatever their questions are, just to give them a kind of mirror, a feedback, some kind of objectivity. I sense and I tune into, all kinds of other energies for people, and I read on that level, So it's very, very practical, very supportive. I try to be optimistic. I always try to guide people that they're actually empowering themselves, that I'm not karmically responsible for telling them, what to do, but I'm actually reflecting their own higher self. So it is good advice. I think we tend to get into our own little, stuckness, and can't see the forest for the trees. And so it's good counseling.
What kind of energy forces do you also see?
Oh, I see all kinds of things. Negative stuff. There is lots of weird little black entities scurrying around all over the place. And I feel things like when I'm out, I have to be very careful because people have like psychic energies all around them, and they're not even conscious if they're angry. They send out these, vectors of negative energy. You have to protect yourself. I'd say that's really important for anybody to, when you go out, to meditate a little bit, to be focused, to be clear, to protect yourself. There's all kinds of energies. There's angels. There's, people all have, I believe, kind of an animal guardian that walks with them, that helps them. They have archangel energies that they work with. Sometimes they come to you in dreams. I think everybody has them, but they're not aware. And you have to become aware of it and to begin to work with it.
Are more and more people becoming aware that they also have these energies around them and that they can either work for them, against them, or they can actually be used to better themselves with?
Yeah, I think more and more people are becoming aware. I think, the internet, people are thirsting for some kind of sense of meaning, and if the real world doesn't seem to make any sense, then people are kind of being drawn into, understanding it on a spiritual level. And yeah, I think it's important, though, again, the key is balance. There's not just positive energies and entities, there are negative ones, too. And the negative ones are a reflection of your own self, and that's called the shadow. And again, Carl Jung was the psychologist who brought this up, and it's very important to work with your shadow and to own. You had Debbie Ford on. She's one of the experts.
Yes, had her on the other day.
Working with your shadow. Yeah, she's wonderful. So you have to do that part of it, too. It's not all New Age, light. I don't really subscribe to the whole New Age thing because it's not healthy to go into the light and ignore the dark. There is a balance.
And that balance must be maintained.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tara Green is our special guest, www.taratarot.com. And one of our listeners would like to know, Tara, how is it that you became a tarot card reader?
Well, I sometimes go, well, I didn't really expect to be doing this, but I do have memories that I was a witch in a past life and a high priestess, and I always kind of knew that I was connected. So I think that for me in this present life and in this age, I think we do tend to, bring through the qualities and what we've learned before. And I was always very psychic, and it just happened by synchronicity, that I got to do this. I feel very blessed and very honored, to be doing this. And I take myself very seriously, and I try to be honest and authentic and have integrity with people. And it's wonderful because I get to have this very heart-to-heart, almost soul-touching empathy with people. Like it's incredibly beautiful.
Do you take people to the next step? For example, I come to you as a person who's heard about you from a satisfied person that has been using your services for a while. I come to you and say, Tara, I'd like you to do a tarot card reading for me, and you do it. And I say, all right, Tara, will you help me get to my next step in this evolution that we're in?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And for each person, often I find people are blocked and they stay, they want to find out, but they have very specific agendas. And, sometimes it's very difficult to work with people like that because they really don't want to grow. But if you do want to grow, and if you're open, and if you're willing to really look deeply inside of yourself and take responsibility and own things, I've seen people go through huge shifts, and I can use the tarot cards, and I can use the astrology, and my intuition, and my guides, and yes, people do go to the next level, but it's entirely up to you,
So they must have the desire.
Absolutely.
Now, Tara, what is the youngest age you have ever read you've ever done a tarot card reading for?
I think I've read for like 5-year-olds actually.
Wow.
7-year-olds, and children love tarot cards. And really, if you have a child, there is a very beautiful, it's like a fairy tarot deck, and my daughter, when she was younger, loved it, and it's very beautiful, and it ties in all the fairy tales through the 22 archetypes of the tarot, and it's really quite brilliant. And it's called the Inner Child Tarot. Give your kids tarot cards. They're naturally intuitive. They're naturally spiritual. Your children can be your best tarot card readers. They don't need to know anything. They'll just tell you what it's about.
Is there any way something negative could come through a child or an adult reading the tarot cards?
Is there something negative that can come through? Yeah, it's possible. And, people say, oh, I don't want to see the death card. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the death card in the tarot is not necessarily bad or evil or anything like that. It's strictly about change. And death is always a part of life. So I think it's how you interpret it. The tarot cards can warn you, of course, about negative energies or negative emotional states or mental states, I would say Ouija boards are way more dangerous because there are lower negative astral energies. You don't want to really call those in.
Yeah, I've heard
but
a
I
lot
don't
of...
think tarot cards necessarily would be a medium for that, but,
I've heard a lot of horror stories about people who have decided that they were going to play with a Ouija board, and they received more than they bargained for. Yeah,
Ouija boards really, I guess, because it's people's attitude about it. There are a lot of lower-level negative astral entities. We were just talking about poltergeist. My husband said he found an actual, that looks very real, a film of a poltergeist on the Internet. And you do have to be careful, There are all kinds of things out there.
So how does one protect themselves from encountering the negativity that's out there?
Well, I do believe that it's your intention, and you do call upon your guardian angels, and you call upon beings of the white light, and you literally psychically imagine a white light or an amethyst fire around you, and you state, I only invite I only invite positive energies into this circle.
I see. So what you're doing is you're protecting yourself. You're saying a prayer.
So you have to be careful. See, I tripped up there.
You have
to be very aware.
Was that a trip up or was that a Freudian slip?
Well, whatever you want to call it. But you have to be very careful. They're a perfect example because you have to state everything positively.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've heard of people who imagine a white light around them as a form of protection when doing Ouija boards, as well as doing readings, as well as doing tarot readings. In this day and age, are Ouija boards as popular as they were towards the end of World War I and World War II, when people wanted to communicate with those that passed in the wars?
I think, there was that whole spiritual revival that started, actually in the late 1900s, with Theosophy and Madame Blavatsky and Alice Bailey. And I think it was more popular then because people didn't know about tarot cards and there wasn't this widespread knowledge about angels and, other realities. So technically, I don't know how many Ouija boards they sell these days, but I think that people, there's thousands of tarot decks. There's, everything you can imagine available to you, shamans from Peru and Tibetan Rinpoches, and you know what I mean? People are way more sophisticated, I think.
Tara, you and I have to take our final break for this hour. Time always goes by so fast when my good friend Tara Green is with us from Toronto. Exo Nation, her website is www.taratarot.com, or is it Tarot? No, it's taratarot.com, TARATAROT.com. That's www.taratarot.com. And when we come back from this commercial break, we'll get Tara to give you the telephone number that you can call to set up or arrange an appointment. Or if you're planning a Christmas party, hey, this would be an ideal time to get a hold of Tara and have her come in and do Christmas readings for all your guests, friends, and family. My name is Rob McConnell, and this is the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Still to come on tonight's show, Carol Taylor from Niagara is going to be joining us, telling us how spooky Niagara really is. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. Whatever you do, do not go away. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Tara Green is our special guest, www.taratarot.com. And Tarot, speaking about astrologically, what do you see for the year to come?
Sorry, Rob, I feel like your signal is bouncing all over the place. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah.
Okay. Well, we just entered a new era. On October 29th, Saturn left Virgo, and it entered the sign of Libra. So basically, for most of the next 3 years, that really shifts things, because Saturn is the planet that rules everything in reality, and it's been giving everybody a hard time in Virgo. It will back up into Virgo for a little bit from March to May next year, but Saturn in Libra is much more fair, balanced, but it is like, in a way, the world is being judged, literally, in a karmic balance. And then the revolution is going to start. The planets that were lined up that created the 60s are now going to come into full flower. So the planets are lining up at 0 degrees of 3 signs. That's going to start. You'll feel that more in 2010. So basically, everything is shifting. We're like starting from zero, in a sense, on what we've built. So innovation, really that sense of higher consciousness, a sense of really revamping everything in culture, corporations, relationships, all of that is going to come apart and reinvent itself. So I think it's very, very exciting.
So do you think the year 2010 is going to be a good year all the way around? Do you see any major pitfalls?
Well, I think it's going to be. I think there is going to be more calamity. I think that people kind of need to really have things fall apart even more to wake up. So I think people have to stay very flexible, very fluid, very much listening to what's right for them to do, because it's going to be literally like riding that surfboard all the way, Yeah. We're going through a huge shift. And things are always rocky in the beginning as the old order crumbles.
Plus, things are very strange when anything new happens. It takes time to readjust, and I would imagine this is all part of the same system.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tara, we are coming so close to the end of tonight's show. First of all, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. As always, great having you with us. And we'll have to have you back on towards the end of the year for your annual predictions for the year 2010.
Okay, that would be great, Rob. Thank you so much.
Now, Tara, tell our listeners how they can contact you for a private reading or consultation.
Okay, you can call me, 416-461-1999, or you can go to my website, www.taratarot.com, for a private reading. I also read through Skype all over the world, or for parties in Toronto and the GTA.
Tara, take care of yourself, my good friend.
You too.
And
okay, thank you so much.
As always, great having you here, and we'll be talking to you shortly. TaraTarot.com.
Wonderful to be here. Thanks, Rob.
Take care, sweetie.
You too. All the best.
You too.
Thank
now.
You.
When we come back from the news at the top of the hour at 6.5 minutes past, Carol Taylor is going to be joining us from Niagara, talking about the strange, the weird, the bizarre, and the paranormal in Niagara Falls. And I'd like to welcome WYKO MX92 and Oldies 1300 in Michigan to the X Zone as we continue live and around the world on Talkstar.